Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Little Life Lessons episode 3. I'm your host, Michelle, and today we're going to be talking about being hard on yourself. All right, so before we get started on the topic, I want to be honest with you guys, and I do want to say I'm really not sure what direction this podcast is going to go because I've been procrastinating filming this episode, and I'm not completely sure why. I had a vision and a goal in mind when I started my podcast, and I had a few purposes that I wanted to accomplish, which was one, I wanted to spread wisdom and help people. And two, I wanted there to be a place for where I can kind of talk about the things that I've learned through life so that there is a platform for people who want to listen. And three, I wanted to bring on artists and creatives and friends and people that I find really inspiring so that there could be a platform for them to share their knowledge and wisdom and their voice. And those were my three main goals, but I have been finding it a little bit harder to maintain this schedule. I upload my podcast every other Monday, but I have been finding it a little bit hard to sit down and record, even though it's in a way simpler than my vlogs. Sometimes in a way I do feel like a broken record where I feel like I'm repeating the same things all the time. So I'm still trying to figure out the direction of where this podcast is going. But what I am proud of is the fact that I started one, because I did want to start a podcast and I did want there to be a place for my unsolicited advices, But now that I've started it, I understand the work and the effort that it takes to continue this. Now I'm just trying to figure out what works best for my life. But the beauty about this, and I wanted to kind of reflect on that, life is about trying new things. And if you like it, then you stick with it. And if not, it's okay to move on, I'm not saying I'm moving on from this podcast, but I'm just saying that when you want to do something, go for it. It's okay if you end up not liking it. You don't have to commit to it forever. You can just try. If you don't like it, it's okay. And that's how you learn to understand yourself a lot more. You figure out the things that you do like and you don't like, and you move towards the things that you do. That's kind of what I've been thinking about lately. But let's move on to the podcast topic. And today's topic is about being hard on yourself. I kind of came up with this topic because I recently uploaded a Get Ready With Me Q&A. And in that Q&A, I answered a question. And in that question, I talked about being hard on yourself and to not be hard on yourself. It's so easy to have that negative voice in your head or that critical judgmental voice in your head when you're just going about everyday life, because you've probably grown up in an environment where that voice was coming out from other people, but not necessarily saying like they are judgmental towards you or they don't love you or anything like that, but maybe they're critical towards themselves and then like project that onto you. And growing up, you've kind of internalize that criticalness or judgmentalness, and then now you have that judgment towards yourself, if that makes sense. But what's really nice is that you can become aware of those voices. You can that kind of sounded a little creepy, but what is beautiful is that you can become aware of that voice and you don't have to listen to it. It can be there. And I think it just gets softer and softer. And then based on different scenarios that you experience, it can come back. But once you're aware of that voice and you're aware that that is just a voice in your head or just a thought, you don't have to take it in as who you are, because not every thought that you have is who you are. You can have those negative thoughts or have those thoughts in your head, but it just might be because you need to go on a walk, or it might be because you're feeling anxious about something or you're having a bad day and then you have those thoughts. But that doesn't mean that's who you are, and that doesn't mean it's the truth. Don't let those negative voices or judgment control you, because that's not who you are. And don't actively think those thoughts either, because there's a difference between not thinking those negative thoughts and then it just coming through and then believing it versus actively thinking negative thoughts about yourself. Both of them, I feel like, don't serve you at all, don't serve us, because if you have a negative thought and it's not from you, but it's just like a passing thought, let it pass, take a breath and then reanalyze the situation. But if you're actively choosing to be hard on yourself and be negative towards yourself, that I also feel like is making life so much more complicated, because you're also going through struggles in life. And I repeat this all the time, and I say this all the time in my podcast and in my videos, but you're already going through struggles in life. There are things that sometimes are just out of your control. You're the person that's going to be with you for eternity, for your whole life. Why would you want to be the person who's mean to yourself? And there's a life that you can live where you don't have to be that way towards yourself. There's a life that you can live where you're actually kind and loving towards yourself. And in turn, you're kind and more loving towards other people that you love. And you have more grace and patience. You have to be the one to give yourself that patience, that grace, that understanding. And then it will just bleed into your other relationships. But yeah, being mean to yourself, it actually changes so much. It changes the way you see the world. It changes, honestly, your body too. During that time in life, it was so hard for me to process my emotions, and it felt like my body was just holding all that pain because I didn't know how to work through it. And then I would try to feel and seem confident on the outside, but truly inside I was weak and I was sad and I was not the person that I wanted to be because I was just so mean to myself and impatient with so many things. But I think also that was because I had a lack of understanding in life. But truly, I do feel like being nice to yourself changes the world. But being nice does not mean that you don't have goals, you're not ambitious, you're not disciplined, because you can still be kind to yourself and loving and patient, but still be disciplined, still work towards your goals. But if you mess up, it's okay. You just say, hey, like, it's okay. At least you try. If you start a new craft and you're really bad at it, it's okay. At least you tried. You should be loving. You should be like that parent towards yourself where you're telling your kid, like, hey, it's okay. Like, at least you tried. You don't have to step into something and be instantly good, You can learn and grow. And that's how honestly life should be, because if you're good at everything and you step into something and you're just excellent at it, where's the journey of growth? That's amazing that you have that talent, but the journey of developing a passion, getting good at it, going through trials and tribulations and obstacles and learning more about it, developing a community around that thing that you're really passionate about is such a beautiful experience. And let yourself experience all of it, all the good and all the bad of all of it. I feel like it's important to be your own best friend, because once you have that support from yourself, you seek less validation from your external sources and the people around you. I do feel like, from my personal experience, it's okay to like the validation from the people around you, but it shouldn't be your whole source of validation, or it shouldn't be the deciding factor of whether or not you feel valuable in your life. You should always feel like you are valuable in your own life. You should always feel like you take yourself into consideration and you are important. You're the caretaker for yourself. No one truly can take care of you the way that you are able to take care of you. You can have a spouse that can really understand you and really love you and really want to provide for you and take care of you and nurture you, but they don't know your every thought and they don't know exactly how you're feeling, but you do. So you can be the one to take care of yourself in the way that you deserve, because you're aware of yourself. So that goes with like not rejecting how you're feeling, being honest with yourself. You have to be your own best friend. You have to be honest with yourself about things, because you don't want to hold on to things longer than needs to be. You don't want to do things that are not in alignment with who you are, with your beliefs, your standards in life, because you are not honest with yourself. And deep down, you know how to be honest. You know when and where to be honest. You are just avoiding it. Being honest and trusting yourself comes with time and comes with every experience you choose to be honest with yourself, because sometimes it's not easy, Sometimes it's easier to not be honest with yourself and just continue living in that cycle that you're living in. But we're not doing that. We are not doing that. I do feel like being hard on ourselves comes from a good place. We want to be good at what we do. We want to get better. We want to grow. We want to be, in a way, perfect, but you are already perfect. You are already a perfect human being. You're trying new things, you're experiencing life, and you're going through the ups and downs. So there's no need to be hard on yourself. Do you like to think about certain things this way, where you feel like you could have done something differently, you could have said something differently, or you could have reacted or responded in a different way? I would say you did the best you could with the knowledge you had at that time. And sometimes being authentic to yourself means responding that way or reacting in that moment. Although you can regret it, you were authentic to how you were feeling, you know? And we can only move forward and understand that through time and through more experiences, we learn to respond to things better, you know? For me personally, how I got out of the cycle of being overly critical of myself, overly judgmental, and just hard on myself or talking to myself negatively through positive self-talk and taking care of myself. And through that, the little habits that you build will slowly guide you into a new way of living. You would say negative things to yourself all the time. Cut that out. Literally cut that out. Stop saying that. There's no use in saying that. You just have to deal with the situation as it is. There's no need to bash yourself on it. So, if you drop the cup, clean the cup up, pick it up. It's fine, instead of bashing yourself and saying you're the worst person in the world, because you're not. Like, we make mistakes all the time. When you are aware that you're saying those things to yourself and you're choosing to say those things, cut that out. That's the first step. Okay, now the second step is where you're saying those things, but you're not purposely saying those things. It's kind of like in your subconscious mind, or your beliefs are aligned with that judgment. So it just comes out at random times when you feel like you are not acting the way you want to act. And then those are times where you just have to give yourself grace. When you feel that, knot in your stomach or in your chest or whatever it is, and you did not like the way you responded to something, you have to give yourself grace, and you have to understand that you really responded in the way that was authentic to you in that moment. And if you feel like you ruined somebody's day, or if you feel like you regret it or something like that, you can always ask and say, hey, did I hurt your feelings, or whatever it is? Or you can know that moving forward, you don't want to respond in that way. And also thinking about where you feel like that judgment comes in from. What is your belief system that you feel like doing what you did in that scenario was wrong is also a good idea to look into where your beliefs of that judgment comes from. Also, once you stop the negative self-talk, you can start the positive self-talk, and that is very important. Imagine somebody coming up to you and saying, wow, you look so beautiful today, or I love your hair, or something like that, like a compliment. Doesn't that feel great? So why are we waiting for other people to tell us that when we can tell us that ourselves? It doesn't make you cocky, it doesn't make you egotistical. It just makes you love yourself more, and it shows appreciation for yourself. And then the more you compliment yourself, I feel like the more you are able to see the beauty in other people too. It's kind of like the way that you treat yourself is the way you treat other people. It's very interesting though, because sometimes people could be so mean to themselves, but so kind to other people. I feel like that's because deep down, they just want to feel that kindness, so they treat other people that way, but they can't treat themselves that way. That is a complicated idea. But yeah, one tip I would give you guys to have more positive inner dialogue is anytime you feel there's a negative thought, counteract that with a positive thought. It could be exactly opposite from it, or it could be something similar to the opposite of it, if that makes sense. For example, whether it is conscious or subconscious that is negative, and you're like, my hair is so ugly, you can counteract that with, actually, no, my hair looks great, or I'm actually grateful that I have hair. Or, you know what? My hair may not be the best it looks ever, but that's okay. My hair doesn't have to look good every day. Maybe I just need to wash it, And having ugly hair or messy hair or whatever it is doesn't define you as a person. So don't let that sink into who you are. You are you. You are an accumulation of so many things. So don't judge yourself based on those small things, That was just an example, but you guys get the vibes. You guys can probably tell that I'm a little tired today. I don't know, I've just been working a lot lately, which I'm really grateful for, but I do feel like I just have a lot going on. In a way, not fully balanced. I do feel like I need to hang out with my friends a little bit more because I've been working so much, but that's okay. We'll find that balance. Oh, my dishwasher's ready. Okay, hold on. I really do want my next episode to have a guest on it, so let's hope for that. And for my two little loves today, One little love I have in general is I really have been loving dates, butter, and salt. I saw it on TikTok and they said it would taste like sugar cookies. It doesn't necessarily taste like sugar cookies, but it's so good. So, so good. I use dates, salted butter, and then just some Himalayan salt on top. Delicious, guys. Second little love about me is that I'm grateful that I've been honest with myself because I haven't fully been getting everything that I need to do done. I've been so productive in the past few weeks, and even in my other podcast episodes, I do feel like I've been slowing down a lot more this past week just because I've been focusing my energy on different things and not in my content, but more in like work and stuff, which I'm really happy about. But that means I'm just procrastinating a little bit more with my videos and my podcast and all the stuff that is just kind of like a side hobby thing, but I'm still really passionate about. I love the fact that I'm honest with myself that I am slowing down a little bit and I am procrastinating, but I'm not hard on myself on it. I just letting myself take the time that I need to just rest and regenerate and get back to where I need to be. I'm going through my cycles, because I do have like those really productive phases and stuff, but then I also have those slow phases where I just need rest and I just need to be indoors, or I just need to slow down, and I honor that. I honor that because that is just the way that I move about life, and not everything has to be perfect, productive, and expansive. That's all for this episode. Thank you for listening to Little Life Lessons episode 3, and I'll see you guys in my next episode. Bye. Mwah.